Welcome to Behind the Citgo, where we pull back the curtain on the unseen truth of addiction recovery and talk about things most people never get a chance to see. I'm your host, Josh Torbich. Each week, we're sitting down with people who lived it, led it, and are still learning from it today. This isn't polished, it's real, it's raw, and it's noted in the faith and hope because we do recover. So whether you're in recovery, walking alongside someone who is, or just trying to understand what healing really looks like, you came to the right place. Let's dig in. Hey everybody, welcome back. Another episode Behind the Citgo. I'm here with Jes White. Jes White is one of the most famous people, part of our organization. Graduated the program. How long has it been, Jes?
Almost 3 years.
3
in February. Well, I entered 3 years ago.
It was like a blink of an eye.
2.5 years.
Yeah, I remember. This is when people come through the recovery program and then they graduate. I go, I remember you. Were you when you were this big, right? Not really though, right? Because you were a grown person when you came.
But my intake picture says differently. I think I was happier in my intake than I was on my graduation. I was the happiest. I was smiling. I didn't look like I changed much, but it's an inside change, I guess.
You know what the joke is in AA is like sometimes you haven't had enough of a losing streak when you come to rehab, and that's what the curse is. So you did though, right?
Yeah.
Because you hit your rhythm, and you could say you just didn't look like it.
That's true. I'll give you that. That's
you didn't look like what you've been through.
Yeah.
Some of them do.
I was good at covering it up. Yeah. I look at some people's intakes. I'm like, oof, they can only go up from here. And I mean that in a good way. It's a good thing I say that.
So now you're in the development department though, and you use those intake photos a lot for people who say, hey, let me get our before and after going. Some of the residents, they get really excited about their before and after.
Yeah.
So here's the honest question. Any regrets that you didn't look worse on your before picture so that you could really contrast it?
Honestly, answering that question, I wish I looked pitiful and I wish I looked how I felt, but I was just so excited to get it started. It's such a cliche answer, but I can't pull out how I felt on my face. It just didn't happen. I was just so hyped to be there because I was not looking good and going back to my mom's house.
Not feeling great here. Not feeling like things are going in a good direction. Well, your story is a great one, and I'm really glad that we were able to capture it for today's conversation. Because a lot of people, and they have this misconception about Christian recovery centers, is that everyone who comes here to try to go through our process is a Christian. And that's not so, right? What is it? They're coming from everywhere.
They're haters.
Yeah.
I was a straight hater.
Don't leave us on the limb. Tell us more. Even when you say it now, there's just such a nice disdain in your voice to remember what it was like. But you really weren't drinking the Kool-Aid at all. Not interested.
I was a true alcoholic. You can't tell me what to do. You can't even give me the best advice. I won't take it. I didn't know that then. I thought I was just, being the one the rebel, I guess you could say. But, I came from Jersey, Philadelphia area. So the first thing that happened. Is that
what we hear in your voice right now?
Of course.
We hear.
First thing people say, you're not from here. I'm like, yeah, I'm not.
What do they call the people from up north again?
The Yankees.
Oh, Yankees. Oh, okay. Yeah. There's the Yankees up there. Well, we're glad that you're here.
I'm glad I'm here. Yeah. God picked me up and put me right here. That's for sure.
But so you were feeling extra Yankee when you came.
I was feeling extra Yankee because everybody was too nice. So it's not like Southern hospitality. You don't jump in from the Broad Street bullies to, oh, this is so nice. Yes. You're like, this is suspicious. That was the word. Everybody was suspicious. I thought everybody wanted something. And that's my mentality. Even when I'm in rehab, I was there. It was 8 women, but everybody was quarantined because it was COVID outburst or something. So it was just me and 2 other people. And I'm just looking at at everybody at that point. And I'm like, this sucks, man. But they were so nice to me. I'm like, what is the deal? You guys are in rehab too. Did you not just come from detox? Did you not just get kicked out of your parents' house? How are you guys being so nice to me right now? It just didn't stop.
Yeah.
Everybody was always so nice. Until retirement happened and all that good stuff. And
all the truth come out. Tell folks about retirement.
God.
You got to see, I'm trying to lightly display components of our program that people don't know. And there's other people who've come on who've shared things like awakening, retirement. Tell them what retirement is real quick.
It's the way officially it's the way to end your day. So you don't
comes
go to
from
bed,
the big book.
You don't go to bed angry, get everything off your chest, evaluate your day, do an inventory, yada, yada. But for the Rose House and for the women, it was a way to we were just letting it all out because we couldn't have a healthy conversation with one another. We had to wait to, put you on blast in front of the group. And I think we might hold the title for the longest retirement.
How long was it?
2.5 hours.
Oh my!
And it started late after church, so it started at 9:00.
Oh my goodness!
And we weren't just going to bed. It was midnight. The work crew was coming home. We're like, this shouldn't happen.
Wow! Yeah,
I think we might hold the title for that.
So it's like supposedly you constructively review your day.
We felt great after. I mean, it did its job. It just took 2.5 hours to do it. We could bang those out in like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
on a good day.
The men's program is opposite. Yeah, we're like, okay, everybody good. We're straight. Okay, moving along.
Yeah. Right.
We very rarely had ones that lasted longer than 30 minutes,
no.
unless somebody was really causing some problems.
It was like the kid in class that always reminded the teacher that there was homework. It was like that on steroids. Right. Everybody's just like, no, I got something to say now. And then that would trigger somebody else to be honest for the first time ever. And then somebody decided to open up about a wound they didn't know they had. I'm like, what is happening? And I look back, I'm like so appreciative because like that's milestone after milestone after like breakthrough. But I was tired that night. I wanted to go to bed.
Well, so I mean, that kind of leads way into your entire perspective on where you were at in life. Mm-hmm. What you were willing to tolerate, maybe even the amount of necessity you felt for even being there. But you kind of were looking around and like, whatever you guys are feeling really connected to, I'm not feeling that. Mm-hmm. Because that's what you're describing, I think, is that when you came in, there were other people who felt connected to the program, their process, their recovery. Yeah. And you were kind of like, bro, what is going on here? Take us into that a little bit.
Well, I think what happened was, I got in there and it was the two newest people. They came in like a day or two before me, and all of the seniors or leaders were quarantined. So I had no level of like role model or like, I wasn't introduced to my first, like, I want to be that person until about 2 or 3 weeks into it. Cause it was small, people were on work crews, people were out doing the things, but I was just around the same like day oneers. And I'm like, all right, I'm just, I'm not really looking to make friends here either. Cause I'm thinking this is going to be over with. I'm going to go back to my life and that's it. And it wasn't the case at all. Like you lived, you breathed, you tackled everything with these people. There was no escaping them, but the one person who came in front of me was actually like my biggest blessing because I just couldn't stand her. And she knew it. And I wasn't a counter. I wasn't going to like say, I've been here for 32 days and 2 hours, but she did. So she came in a day before me. By default, I knew how long I was there and I hated it. And it just continued that way. And, ironically, I graduated before her. She had some setbacks and it like all made sense at the end of it because we were senior leaders together and it just helped me work with people. And I still believe she was my greatest blessing of like a character defect. Wow. And I'm like, I think about her when I meet her often throughout like coworkers and family members and all that. And I'm like, I got to teach this girl something because she's going to teach me something. So it's not really a transactional thing. It's more of like use what I learned in recovery and apply it in your everyday life. Again, they sound so cliche, and I was a hater when I'd hear words like this, but they're coming out of my mouth, so it's true.
They say like back in the day when they found out there was some kind of tension going on between two people, it was like the next day they were roommates.
Yeah.
That never happened by accident.
We had room switches. Yeah. I'm like, what? No way.
You're like, okay, you really don't like that person. It seems like you guys are going to need to spend a lot more time together. Yeah.
And then I'd be friends with somebody and they would separate us. So like it was their job to separate us. And I'm thankful because that same person, we were going to make a business together. We were going to, be besties in each other's weddings and stuff. And it ended up being a very toxic friendship that I've learned so much from. And, God's protection was all over that. But same on the other front. I didn't like this girl, stay away from me. And, I think about her often because she taught me so much.
Yeah, that's really cool.
God's got a funny sense of humor.
But you didn't give credit to God really in the beginning for teaching you anything or for showing you anything. And a lot of people don't understand, I guess, that, a lot of folks, they might choose Christian recovery centers because hey, I need to get in touch, touch back in with my spiritual side, or I need to pursue a relationship with Christ. But there's actually a significant amount of people who are like, nah, I kind of just need to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And they land with us, out of a choice that they've made, but probably a choice that's more out of desperation than it was. Is you got there and you really weren't looking for Christ. Mm-mm. How did that happen?
Oof. it's probably my greatest God wink because, like I said, I was not supposed to end up in North Carolina. Like, I was a Philly girl. I loved the city life. I had a good apartment and all that. And the timeline of everything, when at first I'm like running away from my addiction. I was about to get fired. I was probably about to get kicked out, all this stuff. So I'm like, I'll just move with my mom. She was coming down here. And that was like what I thought was my own will. Like, I'm going to do what I want. No, I didn't want to leave Philly. I didn't want to do any of that, but it's my only option. So looking back, I know that that was not my decision. That was like my first, like, God took over without me having any say in it. So I'm here in North Carolina now. We moved in February of 2022, I believe. And within 1 year is when I got, arrested, and I was in the Rose House February 14th or something after 5 days in detox. And, that whole thing happened because it gave me like one last hoorah. I moved to North Carolina. I wanted to stop drinking because I knew I was like, I was going to get fired from my other job. So I knew something was up. I was like, let's just simmer it down. Like, let's just kind of control it. So me and my mom made a pact. Like, we wouldn't drink a lot, but, glass of wine or something. I was already bottle deep before my first glass with her. So she was always like, what is going on?
Got a head start like me.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll have the glass with her, but that'll be my next
I was
drink.
toasted before I even sat down with her. But like any good addict, I blamed it on something else. So we went to the doctors and got prescribed anxiety medicine. So this was the first year I was mixing because, I did drugs, did alcohol, but I wasn't combining prescription drugs and alcohol. So I would think like, all right, I'm drinking 3 glasses of wine, but I'm acting this way. I'm like, what's going on? So that's when it really took off of like a problem. Like, I know there was a problem because I didn't remember anything. I was out of control, my own control. And I had a seizure for the first time because I really stopped drinking again. And my body went into a whole withdrawal. Like, I didn't know anything about this. So that was like my last, go around of like, okay, now I'm ready to stop, but my body's not. So I'm like, not in denial, not knowing what's going on, but like just knowing I needed to do something. And I went home to Jersey that Christmas and just couldn't get it together. My family had an intervention with me and said, you're going to stay here. You're not coming back to North Carolina. And I'm like, crap, no. I don't have a good relationship with my dad. And that's what they said. They're like, you're going to have to stay with your dad. And I'm like, whoa, like that's definitely off the table. So I had one last go around coming to North Carolina. I had a good 20-something days and I called my last supper. I just did everything I wanted to do on this day and got loaded, just did the worst things ever and got pulled over on my street. Like, talk about blessings. I mean, I didn't hurt anyone. I didn't hurt myself. I got pulled over right down the road from my mom.
You were drinking and driving?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, big time. I blew a .33.
Wow.
I was loaded, man. And I still thought it's because I had a mixture.
The party was on. Yeah.
The party was over real quick. And it was my mom that pulled me over because she was tracking me and finding me and putting the pieces together. But long story short, I get arrested and she asked the cops, the cops asked her, what do you want to do with her? You want to take her home? We won't arrest her. Like, that's your option. You can take her car, then come back and get her. And she asked them, if I don't take her home, will you get her help? And that's when the cops said yes, because they knew about Anchor Initiative.
Wow. So
my mom made the decision to arrest me, ironically.
Wow.
Best guardian angel moment ever.
Wow. And
people get mad at their parents for saying that, but it would have been so much harder for my mom to have kicked me out than to say arrest her. So I got, out of the cell, all that stuff. She came back, got me, and I isolated for like 48 hours, just didn't talk to anybody. And I finally called John Oliver, and he said, here's your options. It's a 30-day in Myrtle, 60 days somewhere else, and then a 6 months. And started asking about the 30 days, and then, of course, the 60 days, and then the 6 months, my last option. He's like, it's this place called the Rose House. And my mom, little angel she is, was at our thrift store a couple of weeks before. It just opened, too. In February of 23, it was just opening. And she had already brought a brochure home, had already prayed with somebody at the cash register. I think it was Miss Ellie, to be honest. Prayed for me by name. And I'm on the phone with John Oliver a couple weeks later looking at a brochure as he's telling me, your next option is the Rose House. And I'm like, crap. I guess that's my choice. So that was a Friday before the Super Bowl, which the Eagles were in. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll call, thinking it's a Friday. They're busy on a weekend, like total denial. And they call and they're like, we don't have a bed, but call every day until we do. So I called real late Saturday night and they didn't have a bed. And then I'm like, this is great. I'll be able to watch the Eagles. Like, there's no way they're open on a Sunday. And I faked the call the first time. And then I realized my mom was watching. So I really called. And they're like, yeah, we had a bed for you. You just got to go to detox. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you couldn't have, I could have at least maybe gone earlier, got out earlier. So they figured out go to Jacksonville for Dick's detox. And then I got transported right to the Rose House.
Wow.
So none of that was Jess's, my desires. I still didn't want to go to rehab. I still thought, let's take the easy way out. And I look back thinking, like, what a fool. Like, the whole path was, like, illuminated.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't just, like, a, hey, subtle nudge. Like, it was the only path. And I know now that was, divine direction for sure. But still, baby Jess was just like, I just got to do this, get this over with. And there was no giving God the glory until I had my, like, moment. But his hands were all over that.
You can
Getting
see it
me
now.
here, my mom going to the thrift store, like, that brochure was there. Like, I just had to, like, let God do his thing.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was still, like, my only option. But I'm so glad it was. Because that's when I, just getting me to the door, I pretty much start everything I finish. So I knew that leaving wasn't an option or anything, but getting connected to the program and recovery, because I tried AA. I was in AA a couple times, just didn't let the grass get green enough. But I realized that there was a whole nother side. And that's, what I really learned with CRCI and the Rose House is, I met sobriety, but then I was like on my way meeting the Father, and I'm like, oh boy, again, don't tell me what to do. And that's why I appreciate CRCI so much, because nobody quizzed me on the Bible. Nobody said, hey, you're stupid for not knowing this basic storyline, because I didn't know anything about it. Went to Catholic school just for the sports. Like, I sucked at theology class. I just didn't care. So when I came here, I'm like, I'm intimidated. I don't want to look dumb. And not once was there ever any kind of, like, push of the Bible. So that's where I was like, okay, there's a stigma against Christian Recovery Center, because you guys are not like a Catholic school. That's what my version of religion was.
Right.
Is strict, like the ruler on your hands and the desk, and you guys didn't do that. You still don't do it. Like, I just, once I was meeting, once I met Jesus on my own pace and my own scale, everything changed. So I give, him all the credit with this direction and getting me to a point of realizing I needed something greater. I would always say the higher power, because it was a cop out. I don't have to say God. And then I realized, God is my higher power. And that just happened from looking at other people getting sober. And
so I was going to ask you, like, modeling. So when you watched other people, they kind of modeled this behavior. At some point you were suspicious of it, but through the process of the program, you became more and more interested, and I guess believing that they were maybe genuine. And, I always joke, because people can oftentimes look around the room, and when they see other people who they were convinced were like them at one point, but they seem to be operating freely.
Yeah.
And you're kind of skeptical that there's freedom out there for folks like us.
For sure.
You're like, what? Have they gotten into some sauce again?
Yeah, brainwashed.
They got brainwashed, or Jim Jones, right? But
yeah.
The concept that you're alluding to really is that, no, Jesus is he's a gentleman, and everyone has to meet Christ on their own terms.
Yeah.
So what did your terms look like? When did you start pursuing an actual relationship?
So I was, again, the stubborn Jess. I was an angry drunk, an angry addict, and I just bottled everything up. Poor me, everything was, the worst. And there was somebody else like that in the program. She's just a Debbie Downer. I'm like, ew, like.
Was her name Debbie?
No. My mom is Debbie Downer in my phone, coincidentally, though, but rightfully so at this point. But I remember this chick was, like, kind of like me, but, like, kind of icky, because I'm just like, how miserable are you? But, like, she showed it. So back to our conversation, it's like I can smile and I can do all this and not really show how I'm feeling, but this girl showed it. But when that girl praised and worshiped, I was so jealous. I remember her because like when I tried to worship, I would go to CR and put my hands on the seat in front of me and just be like, can't tell me what to
You know what they
do.
call lock it down.
Oh yeah, I'd be like tapping the drum or
Yeah.
something. But this girl like put her hand up so freely, and I couldn't do it. Like I was like stiff arms or like doing some weird like airplane motion or something.
Looking at people
And I
behind
remember
you.
every morning I'm like, how do I do that? Like I'd like practice. Like I can't let my hand do what she does. And I finally asked her, I said, how do you do that? And she's like, I gotta let it all go. I'm like, what does that mean? So I'm like, faith was a magic trick to me. Like until it happens to me, I think you guys are all planned. Like he knew your card, or you had that scarf up your sleeve, or the coin behind your ear.
Yeah.
So until it happened to Jes,
somebody's watching the cameras.
Yeah, always watching the cameras. So until it happened to me, I'm like, okay. So then started the therapy, started all that stuff, and started dipping into my dad and all those issues. And she told me, she's like, just leave it at the altar. She's like, I know you don't want to do it. I know that's not your thing. She's like, just try it. Just go there and say, God have it. And that's the only instruction she gave me. And I went to like 3 different services and thought, this is the day, this is the day. It wasn't the day. And then I went to Beulah. It was a small church, which is like my nightmare, going up to an altar call. It was one of those churches. And that's when it happened. I was like, I'm so mad.
If you're going to go to your first altar call, don't let it be a church with like 100 folks, right?
This
You
want
to
like
be
50.
let it be a Philadelphia Eagles stadium.
Nobody knows me. Like it was, oh my God. And I look back, it was filmed. Like this moment's on camera.
Everything's filmed since COVID, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I didn't know any of this. I'm not a churchgoer.
But something pulled you up front.
Something pulled me up front. It was like that. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just felt so like Miss Kate says, I wore shoulder pads. Like I was just so mad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get anywhere talking about my problems with him. So I said, have it. And I just broke down at the altar. And I think you can like see it in the video. I just went, and ever since then, like I could write letters. I could talk about them without sobbing. And I asked her like a week later, I'm like, is this what it's like? And she's like, yeah, dude, it's that easy. And that's when I'm like, oh my God, like how is this? And I started getting interested. Then I started reading books. I think I was in Esther or something. I'm like, Miss Priscilla did a Bible study, and I'm like, oh my God. Like you start relating, and then you start identifying, and that's the whole point of the program. Yeah. You don't have to agree with everything, but you identify with what works for you in your situation, and that's what did it for me. And then all of a sudden, I'm lifting my hands at praise and worship, and I'm getting into that next level of like recovery. And it's because I started, accepting both sobriety and the Father at the same time. I'm like, well, did you look at that faith and science based, just like to be the guinea pig for that.
And you got free. It kind of reminds me of like the prodigal son thing. Like you found yourself in pursuit of something, not even sure what it was, but then it's like God just hiked it up and met you halfway. And isn't it, it's really rewarding to understand that now you get to taste from that.
Yeah.
And once you taste from it, it's hard. You can't unbelieve it.
No.
Like you never met anyone who experienced it, believed it, really felt passionate about it, and then they're like, just woke up one day.
Go back to factory.
Yeah, you can't go. Yeah, there's no reset to that. Like it was so real and, such a pivotal moment in your process.
Yep.
And so what happened after you started to experience Christ in that way and it started to activate some freedom for you? Did the program get a little bit lighter as well?
Yeah, I got, that willingness to be free from your addiction is one thing, but to be free from all the stuff after, you're drunk or high or whatever, like that's a feeling, but like you have all of these defects and all of these emotions that carry with you. So I'm like, now I got to deal with this sober. This sucks. So the only coping mechanism I had was like the word and, social interactions and, figuring out what was my thing. And it was definitely music. That's how I know, like I can worship or I can pray and worship at the same time. Like I just thought people were singing because they're good at music or whatever. Like it's still like, I was just so stupid. It didn't click that the people are praising God while they're it's called worship music.
Yeah.
I just thought that was the name of it. Like it's your genre.
We're just singing a song like Leonard Skinner. Yeah,
then you start like listening to the words and, the volunteers. Miss Priscilla is a huge person in my journey. She started identifying me specifically with the relationship with the Lord, and she used my dog. So of course she got my attention, and I ask the questions, where's the camera? How much are they paying you? And again, suspicious activity. They don't make a dime. Nobody saw any cameras. She's just like, I can see your story. And I know that that's unconditional love.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I have the daddy issues. I have all that. So it's like really hard to even say the word father. And I'm like, unconditional love is a far-fetched idea when it comes to, even a male figure in general. And I'm like, wow, somebody loves me this much to have done all of this. And I started like being willing to accept that it wasn't my decisions or my circumstances. It was 100% God picking me up, taking me out of a situation and putting me, in North Carolina, literally steering my car out of traffic and putting me on my street. Like, I didn't have any control over that. So I started recognizing that, and the timeline of the Rose House. I mean, gorgeous brand new building coming from detox. I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to be. Like, I'm spoiled. And I still think that to this day. And it just became more of an idea of like acceptance and knowing that if somebody loves me this much, why not let them run the show? So I did a fasting. Everybody gave up chocolates or jelly beans, and I gave up the what ifs because it's more of an alignment of like, don't do what Jes wants to do the exact opposites. Because I would always be like, what if I did them? It's like, don't even think of a situation of putting two things together. Just do the exact opposite of what I want to do. And that whole like, I don't want to say I did it for the whole month, but a majority of that month, things changed for me because that taking self-will out of the picture. I didn't know I was doing that, but I was able to experience that. And then when the Bible told us about it, or the big book told me about it, I'm like, it's so much of a relief to not have to be in control. I don't have to make the decisions anymore. I don't have to put this pressure on myself. And that was, it was a game changer. Because then I was put in positions to tell those exact words to the person who just walked through the door.
Yeah.
Unscripted, unsolicited. I don't get no paycheck for telling you to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm just, another cliche. I'm telling you what worked for me.
Yeah. See, that's a beautiful experience. And when we all get to experience that, you truly get to find the mentorship aspect that everyone needs in recovery. Did you see any, so you can look back now and you can see where the hand of God was, even before you believed in the hand of God. But when you experienced Christ, do you remember the first time that you realized, like, did you ever see the hand of God and then go, oh my goodness, that's the hand of God? Did you ever see him move in any of the things when you were going through the program, or any situations where you said, this is God doing that?
I mean, there was a few times when I would see people come back to the program, but there was a revival, I think, with Milton. And again, I just talk about it like magic tricks. And one of my friends was having a hard time with her. Her dad was in the hospital, and Milton did this thing of like, there's somebody in this room who's struggling with a parent. And I started thinking like, oh, my buddy's dad. It was like, this guy's got gray hair. He's got teeth problems. He just went to I'm like, what is that? I'm like, is she listening to this? And said something as far as the lines like, drives a blue truck. Like, I know she got picked up on blue truck on her 90-day visit. And I'm looking at her. She's sobbing, like completely on the floor, sobbing. Wow. Like, and I'm over here like a kid in a candy store. Like, does anybody see this thing happening? And I could see like all over her.
Over here. There's something.
I'm literally questioning, like, does she know that he's talking about her dad?
Sir, interrupt him while he's preaching. Sir,
you talking about her dad? I'm like, what in the world? So like, for me and like my personality, I like seeing it happen to somebody else.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And I'm sure it's happened to me, but like it would be an out of body experience to witness that. I felt it, but to see that like flooding, like she was sobbing.
It's incredible.
She was pretty hard in the program, but she lost it there. I'm like, there's no way, because nobody said anything. This just happened with her. No way that message got relayed to Milton for him to have said that. That's a handcrafted message.
Yeah, he's from like out of town. Like
there's just no way.
Comes once a year. Yeah.
Just down to the like, if he said the license plate number, I would have like ran out,
Sir, you're talking about her, sir.
It's wild. But like that same instance could be like my situation, my story. Somebody else had a DUI. Somebody else was going to get kicked out. Somebody else was a non-believer. It's like, I'm not making this up. I'm just telling my story.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's like my eye opening that, my sponsor says now, if you're having a bad day, go help another. And that's what I do. Because it's my problem. It can't be the worst problem in the world. Somebody else is at stage 1 of my own problem. Go find them and help them. So I think that's where, the love of Christ really overflowed me, because it's like, don't just know about it, be about it kind of thing.
Yeah. And you do, being able to dig in and truly give yourself over to that process allows you the pursuit of, I'm after this thing.
Yeah.
Like I truly believe it now. I've seen it happen. And there almost is like a sense of energy that comes from that to understand your direction. Whereas I can describe my own experience before I truly started serving Christ as kind of like feeling around in the dark a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I always had like an inclination that something was out there, or, it's God, but he's just way off in the beta quadrant, hanging planets, doing things like what he does. But then you start to like really experience God, and you really start to see his work on a day-to-day basis. And you come to find out like, no, this dude, he's up close and personal.
Yeah.
And like, he made me for something really special. And some of the freedom from that is kind of like, well, like I think about this, when you got a good boss who tells you exactly what they're looking for.
Lays it all out.
Yeah, when they lay it all out and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't have to feel around in the dark to try to understand what I'm supposed to do. Like they laid it out. They scripted this whole thing for me, and they told me that it's about other people.
Yeah.
And I've got to feel so much freedom, from that myself. But did you ever have like some prejudgments? There's some sort of disposition against Christians in some way, right? Like, I know that we joke and say a little cultish or Jim Jonesy, but
Yeah.
What were the real impressions of like other Christians that you knew of before you stepped into it?
I mean, like what I thought was real, but obviously was not, or I guess, I mean, like my whole experience with like growing up. So my mom was Catholic and my dad was Methodist. He was like a fake Christian. He just had to be something. So my mom she didn't prefer, going to CCD classes and all that stuff as a Catholic. So she just got us baptized and let us decide. And it wasn't until schooling became a problem that I'm like, let me go explore the Catholic school, because that's my end of my college. Colleges are going to look at this high school versus this public school. So I got into that mentality. My public school wasn't bad. I just knew it'd be better to go that route. And I've just hated it. Like, I just didn't know anything about religion, because we were Creasters. We went to church on Christmas and Easter.
Creasters.
My dad called it snack time when we got communion.
I'm glad you explained it, because some of the folks wouldn't have known what Creasters are.
2 times a year.
Yeah,
and
2 times a year.
And I, had this hate, man. Like, I have to call it a hate. I hated everything about it. I was uncomfortable. You had to dress up. You had to do all this. And when I moved here, and I knew it was it was not Southern Baptist. I think just Southern in general. Everybody has their own religion or faith. And I'm like, I don't want to have to be told what to do. There's this 1 week every day, you got to go to church, you got to dress up. And I'm like, that sucks. Like, honestly, I just didn't want to have a routine like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be told what to wear, what not to wear, better way to say that. And then I realized people are going to church like every day. Mondays, Wednesdays, Friday nights, Sunday mornings. And I'm like, oh, it's a lifestyle I see. And there's no real rules. You come as you are. We got people in hats in church. That was like a forbidden no-no. Like, you don't even bring it in with you. It's like jeans at a country club. Like, you don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, my pack list for this Rose House said church shoes. I remember emailing Melody saying, what are church shoes? Like, I don't know. Are they heels? I've worn heels twice since I've been in North Carolina. It's been at our galas,
Yeah. Everything
was different. But I had this preconceived notion and judgment that church means you got to look your best. You got to act it. And you don't come as you are by any means.
Yeah.
You're just sinning the night before, and now you're at church. And it's, a couple Hail Marys, you're good.
It's something we do. It's just something we do.
They don't want to change who you are in that moment. They want to change your, trajectory.
See, that's it. That's what it's really about, isn't it?
I didn't get that.
Yeah, it was like there's there's something more to being a follower of Christ than it is just to the practice of it.
Yeah.
It's like this is truly a commitment on the way that I live my life.
Yeah.
The values that I subscribe to on a day-to-day basis, the belief that I have that obviously influences my rituals. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of, we're describing these things in a way to make sure that people know recovery does come with its own weight attached
Oh,
to
yeah.
it. Because everybody who stepped into a recovery process, while they might be leaving some pretty difficult situations, they're stepping into some too.
Yeah.
It calls us to hit such a higher mark, and sometimes that's a hefty burden
Mm-hmm.
to bear with it. I know I'm challenged by Christ and the relationship that I have with him, but also the people that he's put in my path.
Yeah.
I've always had a sponsor who challenged me, a mentor who challenged
Yeah.
me, a pastor who really challenges me. And they're telling me that I'm not okay the way that I am,
Yeah.
that Christ called me to be better, that there's a higher potential to subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty intense version.
For like a stranger to see that in you again,
yeah,
like that's God's favor all over
well,
it.
and it influences your rituals though.
Yeah.
So since becoming a Christian and since truly becoming that follower of Christ, what do you believe some of the more significant rituals that you've adopted in your life are?
Well, I think I'm a visual person, so I have this like spiral going on my head because you say the word pursuit. You've said it a couple times today, actually. And it's like if you're actively pursuing Christ and you're actively engaging in your spirituality, um, your addiction is doing the same thing. So if
Mhm.
you're not moving towards God, that addiction's going to creep up to you. So if I'm constantly moving in my spiritual realm, that'll never catch up to me. But there's days, I'm tired, don't want to wake up for church. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that thing is going to creep up. It might not catch up to me today, but if I keep doing that, it's going to
The
happen.
bed just feels
Yeah.
good some days.
I got this shirt, the goodness of God song. I put the lyrics on the back in a circle. It's like your goodness is it's running after me. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not walking, it's not crawling, like it's actively running. But I also know that in my head, that means my addiction's right there waiting to creep up on me too. So
Yeah, and it's combative to that, right?
sure.
Like you're choosing the better things in the process. And
Yeah.
what do they always say, like in the AA rooms, they'll say, hey, yeah, that thing, it's after you.
Yeah, it's waiting in the parking lot.
They say it's waiting in the parking lot for you.
Yep.
It's waiting for you to come out, and it's looking for you. And that kind of, I guess, for the believer, alludes to how sin is.
Yeah.
The Bible says it's crouching at our door.
Yeah.
And it desires to have us, to consume us. And that's true.
Yeah. Well, they one of my favorite things is when they say the devil steals, cheats, destroys, whatever that trifecta is. But when they said that
Steal, kill, and destroy.
steal, kill. I was trying to get to the point of like robbing of my peace. I heard that, and I remember getting real in depth with it because the word robbing means it implies you had something to begin with, and that changed it because I'm like, I wake up every day, by God's grace and mercy, but I have this stuff that's willing to be that can be taken. It's up to me to let it go.
Right.
So it's just like my sponsor says, the days you're feeling good, still got to go to a meeting, still got to make that phone call, still got to do all this. It's the same thing with church. I don't just go there when I feel crappy. I go there because there's Wednesday night service or, Sunday morning. Like if I, really have something going on, like I'll find a Saturday night service. Like I have to keep that balance now. And I go a lot in the beginning. I went a lot for the music and I left because that filled me up, but I was missing the whole message. So it took a little bit of stubborn Jes to come around to it. But once I started working with my sponsor in the big book, like I needed to keep in that conscious contact, and my higher power just so happens to be Jesus Christ now. And it wasn't that way. So I didn't really know how to like seek or talk to him or pray with him. And I was just, the universe, my higher power, this group's my higher power. Because I didn't want to say the G word.
Sure.
Wasn't going to say and claim that God is it until I believed. And now it makes sense. Because I'm like, I can actually go and pray if I need an answer, like, don't ask me. I don't need to ask you. I need to go and have some quiet time and figure out where my direction's actually taking me. So I think it was, I can't give all the credit to one or the other, but for me, it's working perfectly together.
Yeah.
Having my recovery and, the big book and having the word and a home church now and all that. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I
Just,
feel really, I mean, the 12-step process is something we've always shared, because I was a big booker and still, like, even today, the people that I sponsor, I usually try to sponsor 3 people at a time.
mhm.
Can't handle the fourth. I've learned the limited capacity.
It's not fair to the other
Yeah,
three.
it's not fair to the other 3.
Yeah.
But I do, I haven't broke loose of that pattern in my life to sponsor a few people at a time and take them through the big book since I got sober.
Mm.
And I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I truly use the 12 steps and the big book to draw me in closer relationship with Christ than what I'd ever thought was possible.
Yeah.
It helped me discover and discard so many things that were separating me from him.
Yeah.
Things that were keeping me from being effective in my walk with him, in my use with him. And then when you talk about this daily maintenance thing, it kind of keeps a clean house for me.
Yeah.
It makes me quick to apologize to my wife,
Yeah.
whenever I'm in trouble, when I'm in trouble. Yeah.
Can't afford those resentments.
Yeah. Or when I get
guilty
stuck with something
conscience.
at work,
Yeah.
to let it go or even to slow down so that I don't, it says, be careful lest you sin, and that's kind of like the caution that it talks about in the big book when it says pause when agitated.
Yeah.
It's just, you're not in the right space right now. Just slow down a little bit, kid.
Yeah. Your next move is 100% impulsive.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
And that helps me with crazy emails,
Yeah.
like
Don't
when
respond now.
when I see the email at work that's crazy, I'm like, okay, we're gonna look at this tomorrow and hit the
you put it in your drafts and see if you still want to send it.
You put it
in
in your
morning.
draft, see what your initial instinct was.
In there.
But it truly helped me just effectively become a better person.
Yeah.
And then as like most things come full circle, I think that it helped me be more attractive for the cause of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Because who's attracted to somebody who claims to be a believer, but then is like a big bowl of wreckage every day?
Doing the opposite.
Can't keep it together, can't pull down other kind of more hierarchical structures of grace and mercy and love and compassion for all those things. But more importantly, they don't look like a role model for anything. So there were so many things, even ironically like this, I still do the awakening and retirement.
Yeah.
I still know that, but I can quote like awakening, and that's a long one. And I can quote retirement. It's things I did in the program and just never left my heart, type
what
of
a
thing.
gift. Yeah. That's my homework. My sponsor just gave me that homework. She's like, I want you to write down, do your inventory at night, do your, your whole self-reflection. And I'm like, wow, that's what we were doing for 6 months.
Yeah.
Why would we stop?
Yeah.
Probably because you don't want to self-check your day. And, I smile so much at the grocery store now because I just know that misery loves company. And I just like, somebody cuts in line and everybody's got that scowl. And I'm just like, I did it the other day, was get my interlock out. And the guy showed up, the whole system was down. I think it was the day the internet went crashing or ChatGPT.
Yep.
And I get there and he says something. He comes right out and he's like, I can't service your car. Like, the system's down. And right before I was about to be like, you could have called me, all this stuff. He's like, I couldn't even pull your file. Like, ma'am, I wanted to call you. I'm like, oh boy, just caught me from doing a really bad outburst. And I talked to him like a couple more sentences. And I was like, I just really wanted to get this out. And he just stops and says, oh, you don't need to get it calibrated or anything. You just need it out. I can do that. And I'm like, pause, pray, proceed. Like, I could have been a jerk. I could have totally went off on him and he could have just not done what I needed him to do.
Yep.
And I think about that so often because it's like your scowl on your face. Somebody could have opened up registered too, but they're looking at you like, and there's so many miserable people in this world.
Yeah.
Like, somebody cutting line in me is still not as bad as your mom kicking you out of your house. Like, wow. It can't be that bad.
Yeah.
And I catch myself, I'm not perfect. I don't smile every day,
but you have peace.
Yeah.
And God's helping you kind of grow into that peace too. And I guess when you focus on where you're at today, you have a sense of gratitude. You feel really proud of what you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like Christ has so much more for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're so young. You know what I mean? Like, you got.
I like to think I'm young.
Well, Jess,
Younger than
I'm
you.
young, so you're young.
I'm younger than you,
Yeah,
so if you say it, then I have to
That's
be
what
young.
I'm saying. You're young.
I'll take it.
Yeah, and I'm young. But it's okay, so let's just say this prospectively. We do get to see people who are in the programs who aren't as young.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we are kind of just getting started. Like we're just ramping up.
Yeah.
Like we're off the boat. You know what I mean? We're just coming off the boat type of thing. So you feel encouraged that knowing that you got this almighty creator who's really a big fan of yours.
Oh yeah.
And when that sits on you, you can't help but feel really motivated by it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the common denominator with a lot of people in different situations, there's parents, there's kids, there's this like people like CEOs of businesses, they're all in the same boat sitting at the same table, but their common denominator is the gratitude. Like they have a stable place to live. They don't have to worry about what they're eating today. They're sober today. And if you let that stick a little bit, you let the grass be a little bit greener and you give it a little bit of an opportunity, it's like, wow, that was my problem. I couldn't get over that like 20-30 day mark to experience. And that's just like, I'm so grateful that I was picked up and put into a place that didn't allow any booze or anything, because I've tried to do that. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I went to a safe detox. I didn't even know what detox was. I just thought it was like the preliminary rehab, and like everybody went. No, just the drunks, really, like mostly drunks. And now you guys take
everybody else can just come straight in. It's
I'm
really
like,
just the drunks.
Yeah, and in that moment I was like, dude, like I was just caught and I haven't drank with my mom keeping an eye on me, and I'm like, looking back, like we're liars. They couldn't take me at my word.
Sure.
They didn't know I was 5 days sober. They didn't care either. But giving yourself enough time and the heart of gratitude. Like I had my first memory at in the laundry room of the Rose House, and it was like 30 something days. I'm like, wow, that's what I wanted. I wanted more of that, and I never let myself get to that point.
Wow.
Like I couldn't remember like who taught the class or like keeping my work stuff straight, like common stuff. And then I just wanted more and more and more. Like the promises. It's the most attractive thing in the big book. And I just like, that's all I need, really. All the other stuff is free to me, but I want those promises so bad. And it's like, you got to work for them, but you got to give yourself time.
You're helping us today, even though you're not in direct care, but you do work for the ministry. You're one of the leaders in the development department. So you're actually about the fundraising and throwing on these magnificent galas. Yeah, that's your thing. Yeah, you're just throwing on these magnificent galas, the best galas. But you're sewing it back into everything that we can accomplish together. While there's this entire wake of people who are kind of following in similar footsteps to you. I think about this often. I think about how many of us, because, today, like the whole room is full. While we're having this conversation, we're surrounded by us, by graduates of our program. And these are people who found themselves effectively well through the power of Christ.
Yeah.
None of us really came looking for them. And that's kind of cool when you think about it. Like, when you look around the room right now, the people who are doing the sound and the audio, and the guy who's sending messages over here to make sure that we keep time and that the sign off is done properly, and then the guy over here who's just scowling if we make a mistake and make sure we straighten up. Yeah, that's Dwayne Richardson. All of us, we're all graduates of the program, though. And none of us came looking for Christ, but he kind of found us. And I found him through people like this. Yeah. Through people who were like, hey, man, you ain't got to swim, but boy, if you do, the water's good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really beautiful experience. So last question, what brings you a lot of hope today about what part you're playing in all of that and what kind of role you carry?
I think just like, I know it's a little general, but like the growth, like knowing I've been on a lot of startup ideas and a lot of, just to do events and venues that would, become these massive, like exclusive venues and stuff. But I always came at the back end of it, like once it was already flourishing. And I was, not quick to jump, but I was quick to get caught at my last job before I like got to see the miracle of what they were doing, especially in the suburb of Philadelphia, like very competitive. But I get to see that now using like my same skills and talents. So it's very similar and aligns with what you're saying. It's like he's using my same gifts, talents, and like I don't even think like you had me submit my application or my resume and I didn't change anything. Like I didn't have to alter it or anything because then you figured out where would be a good fit or even a department that was just being creative. And
I
I'm
was
like,
just opening. Yeah.
I could sit here with a lot of resentments like, oh, that place that I used to work for is great, but like I'm doing it here. Like it's almost like I'm doing the same thing. I have the same mentality. I have the same hope of like where this business is going, but like I can't be in that business mentality anymore. Development's a slippery slope because it's equal parts business and ministry. I always applaud Mike because he's a business guy, and thank God the ministry has him. And thank God we have program side because it's all ministry. Like you have to have the heart. But I love where I'm at because I get to experience both. But I always have to put ministry over money. I don't know if that's an earmuff moment for you, but I know that that's
ministry. Yeah.
There's times and situations where it's like, is this a money thing? Is this a business? Is this an impulse decision? And I have to say it is like God leading or is, old Jes leading because I was, commissioned. I was upselling and doing all this stuff. And I don't know if you've ever had to be a wedding planner during COVID. It was brutal. Like taking people's money contractually with no disregard. Like it didn't feel good to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't like my boss. So it's like all of those things were taken away and I'm still doing what I was good at. I'm still doing what I love and the meaningful work behind it. It gives me a lot of hope that like God never gave up because I liked what I was doing over there. I was just a machine fueled by drugs and alcohol, but I like what I'm doing here and it's me like for the first time.
And you're a role model.
Me do it.
There's like 50 women who like see you on a day-to-day basis and many of them are kind of like,
well, that's like the best compliment. I can't speak for everybody when people are like, I didn't know you went through the program.
You see?
I'm like, I never thought that would be a good thing to like feel.
It like they're looking over there and it's crazy to think that way. Like think about, wait, they're looking at me and like their whole dream is just to get to where you are. Like that's as far. Can you imagine like
we prayed for situations that we're in?
Yeah. Like their entire aspiration right now from where they are in the program is just to get to the spot that you've made it to.
And I slept in the same bunk that they did.
Isn't that crazy?
I heard you say it all the time and I was still new. And even in a year or two is still like new stories. But I remember Sam was like my person, like my role model, her and Melody. And I look at where they're at now. I'm like, Sam, she's younger than both of us combined. And she is just flourishing. And you ask her how she's doing, what she's doing. She's did my hair and she's doing the same thing. Like she's actively involved in a church. She's doing her step. She's talking to people. Yeah. Like seeking help and counsel. It's not hard, but us addicts are stubborn. We don't want to do that easy work. Like it's really, it does give me hope that women are attracted to that. They're not attracted to the woman that's, getting all the guys or getting the big shiny car or something. That's
great. Yeah, that's a great
person
comment.
That they say, like, why are you always smiling? I'm like, well, there's nothing not to smile about. It's not facetious. I don't really have a lot of bad days anymore. Hopefully they're out of my system. I'm sure they're to come, but they can't be as worse as one that
pops up every now and then.
But even then, it's not the worst day ever.
Yeah, I mean, never.
You've seen my dogs. They're cute. Like
they are.
They make any bad day completely worth it.
I'm telling your dogs.
That's like dog mom feels like this. Imagine what motherhood's
yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's like look, I'm telling you, there's my kids, but then there's your dogs. They're like, right there.
They're just they make any day worth it, but I shouldn't be able to have them with all the stuff I've done.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think I've told a lot of people this, but when I was driving, my dog was in the car. I could have been a kid and I could have been in a way worse situation.
Yeah. But the grace. Yeah. Yeah. But grace of God.
Nothing happened.
We love you. We're so grateful for you.
Appreciate the time.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that we had this chat and next step for the ministry, no matter what, it's going to be big things. And I'm glad that you're a part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Miss Jes White in the flesh today. And we got to hear about how she found Jesus in recovery. Thanks for tuning in.